Well, folks, this is it for the Vancouver Canucks. This right here could be the biggest fork in the road. Are the Vancouver Canucks going to head towards Playoffville, or will they take the path more traveled and find themselves out of the dance? They are playing off against the Utah Hockey Club in a few hours here, and I wanted to talk about a few extra notes heading into the game. You know, we rarely do the pre-game quote-unquote videos because we like to just talk about stories that stand the test of time on their own, but considering the stakes here, hey, you thought it was a gamble yesterday with Artur Shilovs? That was just part one of the back-to-back. Vancouver playing off against a Utah Hockey Club today that is dying to get into the dance themselves. There's gonna be no punches pulled in this contest. Now, the show is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Go out there, check out that first link in the description to save some money in your VPN, get some free months, and support this YouTube channel in the process. I know what some of y'all might be thinking, Lego, have you not done this titled video and thumbnail in the past? And yeah, I actually have. The Michael Jackson This Is It parody thing has been done on the Vancouver Canucks side. I think we did it a year ago, and then we also made a video about this sort of subject with the Red Wings a year ago as well. Big blast to the past for Lego Rocks 99 history, but the Vancouver Canucks are in another This Is It situation, and it all boils down to this game against Utah. Because if you head over to moneypuck.com and you take a look at the Canucks tail of the tape here, this is a huge game for the Vancouver Canucks. If they win in regulation, their playoff odds jump 10% to 52.2% total. If the Vancouver Canucks lose in regulation, their playoff odds drop 10.8% to 30.7% total. If the Canucks beat Utah in overtime, their playoff odds jump to 48.4%, and if they lose to Utah in overtime, their playoff odds only dip 2.5%, down to 38.9%. So, right now, the Canucks are hovering around a 41%-ish chance to make the playoffs. Things will change tonight depending on what happens against the Utah Hockey Club. Bear in mind, this is also a huge game for them. They're hovering around the 20-ish% mark of making the playoffs themselves. They need these 2 points here against the Vancouver Canucks. They cannot afford to lose. I'd say Utah has a much lesser chance of making it compared to Calgary and potentially Vancouver, but just looking at the odds in the West right here, Vancouver 41%, Calgary 26.2%, Utah 20.1%. I think that Friday night really did seal things up for Calgary and Utah, both of these teams losing in regulation. But of course, anything goes, right? If Vancouver blows it tonight, they lose in regulation, they don't get a point, and Utah gets 2. Everything crumbles down in Utah's favor. Now, let's go out there and talk about some of the notes heading into today's game, because it was posted about by Brendan Batchelor saying that Filip Chytil is indeed out tonight with a concussion. He said he felt okay today, but he is in the protocol. The Canucks will see how he is over the next 48 hours before deciding if he'll go on the trip. And this, of course, was some terrible news to go out there and see for Filip Chytil, considering the concussion history he has had in New York, multiple concussions over the years. And a lot of Rangers fans were even saying, like, when he got traded to Vancouver, watch out, folks, because this guy, he could very well be one concussion away from his career pretty much being over. So it's good to see here from Tocchet that Chytil is okay, and he looks like he's okay, but they gotta take a little bit of precaution here. This guy has been very vulnerable to this type of injury in the past, so they can't afford to take any risks. And I'm gonna be honest, like, this is just my subjective opinion here, but, like, I don't think Filip Chytil was playing all too well anyway recently. Like, sure, he drives and he moves well, but ultimately I do think that we saw the best out of Chytil in his first few games as a member of the Vancouver Canucks. Recently, he has gone a little bit cold in terms of point production, and his minutes have been seeing a decline as well, so maybe a whole reset and just giving him a little bit more time to breathe is appropriate here. Not just for the concussion, but for Chytil to just kind of recollect everything after the initial adrenaline shot of being traded to a new team. let's go out there and talk about some of the extra things that Rick Tocchet went out there and said yesterday after the game against the Chicago Blackhawks. He went out there and praised Elias Pettersson in a series of comments that I think we're all going to dive into and eat up, because Vancouver hockey has been starving for this version of Pettersson. He's a great kid. He's a really good kid. I think he's having a bit more fun, Tocchet said about Petey. I don't think he has the world on his shoulders right now, and I think he's just trying to enjoy this run. Tyler Myers went out there and said that Pettersson has been playing a lot more free, and he's also been more vocal in the locker room, stepping up for the Canucks the last couple of weeks. Man, if this is all it took for Pettersson to start going again, he should have done 3 media conferences at the beginning of the year. He should have been able to speak out about all this stuff and take accountability with JT in the midst of the JT situation unfolding. Of course, I understand that would have been impossible considering the circumstances of the Canucks locker room and the dynamics between the players involved at that time. But just knowing that Elias Pettersson is playing more free, he's speaking up in the room now, he's being more of a leader, he's leading by example, he's doing his dekes, he's doing his one-timers, he's taking shots, he's scoring goals, he's looking fantastic. To see all of this happen shortly after he spoke out in the media and said, yeah, it's my fault, guys, I'm playing poorly, I need to be better, and for the last 20-something games of the year, I need to get my ass into gear. For him to go out there and take accountability like that and then display on the ice everything that he needed to do, he's backing everything up right here, man. He should have made that press conference earlier. And if anything, there's a huge chance for vindication here, because when we think about the main reason Elias Pettersson spoke out in the media the other day about how he's been sucking and everything, the biggest catalyst, I think, to all of that was the comments that he made in the last Utah game, when Vancouver played off against the Utah Hockey Club and Pettersson missed the breakaway. When he said those angry comments to Ian McIntyre after the fact, which went viral and which we flamed him for, oh, how much does confidence come into play when a player is struggling to score, before Pettersson goes out there and says, hey, it's a lot more annoying than dealing with you guys. To have that sort of bad attitude be put on display and piss off the entire Canucks fan base to the point that it did, Pettersson going out there and addressing it, he needed to do that. He absolutely needed to do that. And to see him back everything up afterwards, it's like, hey, maybe that breakaway miss and maybe those comments to Ian McIntyre, those were the dominoes that started to fall to allow this entire thing to happen. Yesterday, after the goal that he had scored and the game where the Canucks won 6-2, he was cracking jokes. When asked about how he feels about his game after scoring 4 goals in 5 games, he said, I can't believe it. He's feeling good, folks. Elias Pettersson is here, and this is it. If there was any time for Pettersson to come back after having a lackadaisical past 12 months of hockey play and off-season training, this is it. I have been reserving judgment before fully 100% believing the idea that Elias Pettersson is back, quote-unquote. We've made a bunch of videos teasing it, saying, oh, is he back? Is he back? Oh, he's kind of back. He's making progress. But I think for me, the turning point will be a 5-point game. Give him a 4+ 5-point game. If he gets 4 points in a shootout winner or something like that, give him 5 points in a game, and then I'll be like, yeah, definitively, he's back. EP40, this is the guy we know and love. The alien, the deity that the Church of Pettersson is based off of, Mr. Do Your Deeks himself. He will be back once he gets that 5-point game. He has had some really good games as of late, and he has been producing. He's been playing a lot better the past few games than he has in the past year. But ultimately, I think until he has that 5-point game, I'm not going to go out there and definitively say 100% that he is back, but he's certainly on his way there. So we'll see what happens against the Utah Hockey Club. This is it for the Vancouver Canucks, folks. Puck drop is in about an hour and a half from now, so we'll take a look at what happens and then make a post-game video about it all, too. But for now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Elias Pettersson, Filipino, Rick Tocchet's comments on the matter, and how you expect the Vancouver Canucks to bounce back after a 6-2 big win over Chicago last night, tonight against Utah. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.